In today's FX markets, let's take a look at the Euro futures as they're realizing some volatility here today on the heels of the ECB announcement. The Euro futures have been higher and now they're lower. And as I mentioned, just a pretty volatile session coming through the announcement this morning by the ECB, which indicated that they're going to rein in liquidity provisions. They expect to raise rates at the next meeting by 25 basis points. And the narrative coming out of the press conference was one of inflation continues to be a challenge now and will be a challenge moving forward. Now, initially, with the release of the decision, the Euro futures actually moved higher and pushed up towards the top end of the recent range. But as we got through the press conference and also some of the shifting dynamics here in the U.S. today as far as the Treasury markets, we are now seeing the Euro futures pushing down to the low end of the range for today, which also corresponds with the low end of the range for the last 2 weeks. Futures market 1.0635 currently. And I think when you look at not only the ECB announcement this morning, but also the anticipation for the CPI release tomorrow here in the United States, Treasury markets adjusting for some of those dynamics where they're seeing the short end of the curve rising as far as yields. And I think that's having an impact on dollar expectations. And therefore, that's why we're seeing this shifting dynamic within the various pairs trades. Now, looking at the euro, as I mentioned, we're pushing now down towards the low end of the range for the last couple of weeks. And also seeing that dynamic play out in other areas. We're seeing the British pound under some pressure here. Now, the Japanese yen is pretty flat, but yesterday the Japanese yen basically went to 20-plus year lows versus the U.S. dollar, so we continue to see weakness there. And we're seeing weakness in the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar today on the heels of some of these announcements that have come out over the last 24 to 48 hours. So euro under pressure now as the ECB has released its decision as far as rates moving forward, and we will get the Fed's decision next week.